Bills fans, I'm not even going to attempt to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you a white lie. I'm not going to tell you a partial lie. The truth is, this was likely the worst season y'all will have in the last 5 years.
Shut up, the Bills! It's not outside! It's not outside! Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Homie, now listen. Everyone play their position. Buffalo got a tradition. They say we trippin'. They better get out our way. Top of the table, we flippin'. We on a mission. Got an unstoppable team. Continue to follow your dream by any means. Buffalo, get in the Super Bowl ring. Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Mafia up in your city, time to get gritty. Screaming and yelling, we bugging. Look at the red and blue.
This is an MVP year for Josh Allen. As an MVP voter, I said this last week. Josh Allen, he looks like an MVP. When you vote for MVP, and I can speak for myself, I think I'm one of 50 voters, you look at a couple things. Who's the best team in football? Who's the best player on that team in football? What do they look like as the best player on that team in football? And how much talent is around that best player on that best team in football?
Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo.
And good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Coast to Coast podcast. I am your co-host, Beyond 716 here, as always, with Whittle 2K here on Wednesday, June 17th. We inch closer to the season, a little over a month, Whittle, probably before we start minicamp. If you could believe it, it just inches closer and closer. Cannot wait. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about OTAs. We're going to put a bow on that, go over some injuries, go over some other Bills news, as there is really no offseason anymore in our world of the NFL now. Rarely slows down, so we'll have plenty to talk about. But before we begin, I got to say, finally, it's been 53 years. Oh, no, wait. It's been 3 days since the New York Knicks have won the championship, Whittle. It feels so good. It just feels so good. But I want to give Whittle a shout out here, folks, okay? Because Whittle was one of the first ones to text me. As a Boston fan, I got to give Whittle complete credit. He did great. You know, it was a very great. It was awesome. So I know for Whittle, this hasn't been easy with the Knicks. You know, it's in his backyard. And just a public service announcement: stay away from New York tomorrow, folks. I already saw an image, Whittle, of people in this. They're already waiting in some of the bleachers right now at 7:13 at night for tomorrow. So you already know how many people are going to be there tomorrow. So it's going to be insane. But what a night, what a moment. I really didn't have a lot to say, Whittle, just a lot of emotion. I still can't believe it. It's a weird feeling. And I'm hoping, and one of the things I thought about is, man, what would this be like if our Buffalo Bills did this in February, right? If we've been waiting for it, for so long, and just how that feels. So it was, it was just a special run by the Knicks, and even the Carolina Hurricanes out there in hockey, who a lot of people have compared to the Buffalo Bills with over the last 8 years. They've both been extremely dominant teams in the regular season. They both have ran into some bad luck, some issues, some injuries, but they broke through. Kind of, maybe this is the year, Whittle. Maybe there's a theme going on out there right now with teams that are consistent and build consistent, winners in terms of, because you saw the Knicks were, Whittle. They, in terms of their chemistry, in terms of just the types of guys they brought in and just how much this really meant to them, right? And I think that experience and that really is the reason why they beat this young Spurs team. This young Spurs team is going to win multiple titles. We all know that. Unless they really do something crazy, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with for a long time. But it wasn't their time. But what I'm getting at is, maybe there's something to what the Bills are doing, and maybe you just need a little bit of luck like the Knicks had a little bit at certain times to get it done. So there's my spiel. There's my opening intro. Whittle, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good, man. And there are a few things that you need in order to win a championship. Number one, you need talent. You got to have talent. You also need to have some sort of balance. You have to be able to do certain things when you need to do them. So on the basketball court, you need to be able to hit jump shots. You need to be able to shoot threes, shoot free throws. You got to play defense. You got to rebound. You got to take care of the basketball. And most importantly, when it's time to make plays, somebody's got to step up and do it. And the Knicks proved that they could do that this year. Another thing that goes with that is a common ingredient in a championship team is luck. You have to have certain things go your way. It just is what it is. Sometimes you need certain things to just happen and go your way. I'm not trying to poo-poo on the Knicks.
I agree.
Say this about the Celtics. I'll say this about the Celtics run. The Celtics, when we won the championship, we went up against a Milwaukee team that ran into some injury issues. Giannis wasn't fully 100%. They had a few guys that were nicked up. I believe I keep forgetting this guy's name. He's such a good shooter, man.
Middleton, maybe? Is it Middleton?
Middleton. Middleton was banged up in that series. So I mean, we handled him pretty well, but still, those guys were not 100%. I believe Jimmy Butler was hurt, and he didn't. Bam got hurt early in that series. So we were able to kind of face some teams that lost guys due to injury. And let's be honest, this year Tatum missed 70 games. He came back and played 12 of the regular season. Then he got into the playoffs, and he was good, but it wasn't. You could tell that there was still some rust there. Philly, off injury wise, is always up and down with Embiid, who never seems to play. And Halliburton tore his ACL in the finals last year, or he tore his Achilles in the finals. So he was going to miss the entire season this year. So right off the bat, the Knicks are not too worried about a depleted Celtics team, a Philly team that still trying to find that chemistry, and those guys learning to play together because Embiid is always out, and Indiana was out. Indiana was out of it. So you need that to happen as well. If you go to football, you look at the Chiefs. Yes, the Chiefs definitely earned their titles. Yada yada yada. We're giving them that credit, but every single time, with the exception of 2020, that the Bills and the Chiefs face each other, a major defensive piece for the Buffalo Bills was out. We have never played them outside of 2020 with our number one corner. Hasn't happened in the playoffs yet.
And in 24, we lost them in games. 24, we lost them in game.
We're missing our number one corner. I mean, 2023, you know how bad it was. We were missing 6 starters on the defense in 2023. So, but I say all that to say that's part of it. You know what I'm saying? You want to win a title, you got to be good, number one. There's got to be chemistry on that team. You got to do the little things, and then you need to be lucky as well. The ball needs to bounce your way. Certain things need to happen.
Absolutely.
In your favor. And you know what? Hats off to the Knicks. Congratulations.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man. Hey, listen, another tie into the Bills. Let's give shout out to Mike Brown. I mean, Mike Brown, a guy that when he came in was, they saw, this is a terrible hire. How could they get rid of Thibodeau? But maybe Thibodeau's a little bit like Sean McDermott. So Thibodeau's a really good basketball coach. You and I both know that, right? But we saw what Mike Brown did, where he made some adjustments, said, hey, I'm going to play my guys more during the season, the bench guys. And it turned out you do need your bench to perform, and I think the Knicks were a little bit fresher at times late in games. And so what I'm getting at is, maybe just that philosophy change, and where you had a guy like Thibodeau who really laid a foundation down for a franchise that was a complete disaster, right? I mean, for any, I remember the Langston Galloways. I remember the, Timothy Mozgoffs. I mean, I could go I could spend all night here, talking about some of the old Knicks, right? But, but Thibodeau laid down the foundation. Maybe that's what, Sean McDermott did. He changed our trajectory. He put in a certain culture, kind of like what Thibodeau did. And Mike Brown came in and made some alterations. Maybe Joe Brady's going to do the same. Now, Mike Brown has more experience than Joe Brady, but what I'm trying to illustrate is sometimes you just need that little bit of philosophy change in terms of, like you said, maybe, and what Mike Brown says, sometimes you create your own luck, and maybe the Bills need to create a little bit of their own luck too going forward. But also maybe now our GM has made draft picks this year that maybe will help us with those luck, where we have more depth at corner now. We made our draft picks. We're very deep on the D line now. We're deep in the corner room now. Like, those things could help us if, knock on wood, someone like Benford goes down in the playoffs. Maybe we're a little more equipped this time around than we were in years past. So that's how you also create your own luck too. And so that's what those are the kind of things that I thought about a little bit when the dust settled. Like, maybe this would relate to the Bills in a way, because we've been knocking on the door. The last couple of years, again, they didn't have any luck against Indiana a couple of years ago. Remember when they lost, 6 guys in Game 7? It was like, nobody was playing. It was a Dante DiVincenzo, like a bunch of backups, right? And they got toasted, right? And that's kind of like what we felt for the Bills at times too. So maybe Joe Brady does certain things where maybe we're healthier this year in those respects. Maybe we're more prepared this time around going into the playoffs. Maybe we execute better in those big situations. So that, just want to draw some inspiration, going forward. So just to land here, the Bills' philosophy and the way that they run things, like you said, prolonged success, I still think that's the best way to go. Pushing your chips all in too hard sounds great until it doesn't work, right? The odds are still very slim, right? So, but the odds are still, to me, about the same, like Carolina Hurricanes in hockey. Whittle, you may not be familiar with them, but they just they have a system, they stick with their system, and they don't deviate. And this year it paid off. Finally, some things went their way. They made, one nice move, and boom, they're hoisting the Stanley Cup. So maybe Buffalo will do the same.
Yeah, it's possible. You got to think you're sitting there knocking on the door every year. One of these years, you got to break through, right? I really thought last year was a year that the Bills had an opportunity to break through. I wasn't completely in love with the roster last year, especially on the defensive side of the football. I thought we needed a little bit more depth at the cornerback position. Wasn't too, fond of the safety spot. Don't get me wrong, Jordan Poyer, great Buffalo Bill. He's going to go down as one of the greatest Buffalo Bills to ever play in for the team. But what was he, 33, 34 last year, somewhere around there?
I think it was 34. Yeah, pretty sure.
So, just a little too old to be playing safety, man. There's certain things that you can't do when you have a player that limited. So you give advantages to the other team. But look at what's happening now, right? And no disrespect to Sean McDermott, much like Tom Thibodeau, he is the system. Like, his way is the system. Yep. And there's a certain type of player, certain type of character that Sean McDermott wants on his team. Well, guys that we brought in, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, definitely don't fit that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a guy that I expected us to go out and get. But, new regime, new situation, man. DJ Moore's here. A kid like Skylar Bell. I think that we're headed in the right direction. But, again, me personally, I'm not telling anybody else how to fan. Me personally, I'm chilling. I'm keeping I know what I expect, but I'm just gonna wait and see how this team looks once they put the pads on and they start actually playing some football games. Um, I am excited. Training camp's a couple weeks away, and these guys are going to be able to. You're going to get into the camp battles and things like that, and that's honestly that's a great segue into what I kind of want to discuss today of the condition of the roster at this point. The Buffalo Bills. Let me start with this. There was a conversation earlier today that I was having with someone else who said that the Buffalo Bills maybe headed on a downswing because that they've been good for a while and it's time for them to potentially rebuild. They've been competitive for so long, and what changed? Well, the Buffalo Bills used to be one of the oldest teams in the NFL. Every single year, you're bringing in veterans who are, in their late 20s to third and early 30s to come in and play McDermott's system. The Buffalo Bills as a team, average age is 14th in the NFL. 14th, they're the 14th youngest team. Offense, they're 28th. The 28th, I mean, the offense is old, but the offense is also top 5 for the last 6 years. Like, if you add up all the numbers over the last 5 to 6 years, offensively, the Buffalo Bills, you're going to see these 3 teams. You're going to see the Buffalo Bills. You're going to see the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
And those are the 2 teams that you're guaranteed to see. I think a third team will probably be like Green Bay. You got your Green Bays, you got Kansas City, who puts up a ton of numbers. Baltimore usually puts together a really good offense. Cincinnati's close to there, but those top 2 teams you're guaranteed to see, the Bills and the Detroit Lions. Ironically, neither team has a Super Bowl, but yeah. Like the offense can be old. We have a 30-plus-year-old left tackle. We've got a 30-year-old center, 30-year-old quarterback. DJ Moore's 29. I mean, it is what it is. Some of those guys are old and they're going to bring the age down. But then you go to the defensive side, and you have CJ Gardner-Johnson, who I think is like 30. You have Bradley Chubb, who's like 28, and then Ed Oliver's like 27.
Yep.
After that, like all of these guys are like 26, 25, 23, 24. They're all young after that. Like they're no more old fogies on this defense. The Buffalo Bills currently have the second youngest defense in the NFL behind the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes.
Wow.
So
think about the 2 teams you just mentioned, right? You see how they've been rebuilding on the fly here.
And that's what good programs do. That's what good general managers do. That's what good organizations do. They see the problem, they address the problem. CJ Gardner-Johnson's 28. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So yeah, like I don't think we have anybody over 30 on the defense. I don't think we have anybody 30 or older on the defense.
Chubb is 30. Chubb is the 30-year-old.
Chubb is 30? Okay. He came out the same year as Josh, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But he's the only one then. Everybody else is young.
Yeah, really. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. But this, like I said, this is what good organizations do. You build through the draft. You continue to try to get younger, and you bring in guys that you fill the holes that you have with skill sets that you need. And I think that's what they did this year. But again, new system, new DC, new roles for a lot of these guys. I got to see it. If I'm in offense, I'm licking my chops and saying to myself, appreciate you, Michael. Thank you for popping in with that, though. If I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm looking at the Buffalo Bills, I'm saying to myself, let's see how good Gregory Rousseau is in coverage. I'm trying to flood his area with a tight end and a slot receiver or a running back. And I want to see what you can do. Like I'm testing you on that every single chance I get.
It's gonna be so interesting to see that.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
But pretty much, so with that being said, going into the season, some of the guys that were on this roster that are carryovers from Sean McDermott really didn't have a real role. I didn't feel like some of these guys really didn't have real roles. Javon Solomon sticks out to me. Didn't really have a real role here. I think Joe Andreessen's going to actually get a chance to play. Some defense, a good amount. He should play a good amount of defensive snaps this year. And I didn't really think that Landon Jackson had a spot going forward either. But with this change in the defensive coordinator and the defensive scheme, I mean, these guys, I think these guys have a chance to shine, especially Javon Solomon, man. Like throwing Javon Solomon, who's an undersized edge guy, 6 feet, 6'1", 240, 245 pounds, with freakishly long arms and a motor that doesn't stop. Throwing that guy on the edge, as an outside linebacker, I think it works. I really think it works. Other roster concerns for me on the defensive side, linebacker. I just don't like the depth right now. We'll get into the injury talk in a second. But I wanted to ask you, what's your concern level with the issue at running back now with Ray Davis saying, hey, I need more opportunities to see, to showcase what I can do. And do you think it's an issue with Ray not being comfortable with being a backup, the workload, or he sees, hey, I'm coming up for a contract in a couple of years and I need to be able to put something, I need to be able to put something on his resume besides, all-pro kick returner.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't mind a player that wants to compete, right? He wants to win. He wants to give more, right? Ray Davis, obviously, every player wants to be a starter, right? I mean, pretty much in this league, right? So I really don't have a concern. I don't feel like he's going to make waves or problems in camp. But what's interesting, Whittle? I actually think that if maybe this is a good thing. I mean, I think Cook had a lot of carries last year, a little out of his comfort zone in terms of his career so far, right? So I know that there was even some talk about, Cook working on ball security, and maybe even coaches hinted maybe his workload's going to be a little different this year. So maybe after what, Ray Davis said, and if Ray Davis can show us and come through, maybe that's something would be better for James Cook, because we've seen a lot of times with a lot in the NFL. Look at Saquon Barkley. There's certain guys that when they have a big year carrying the football in terms of a lot of carries, sometimes they tail off the year after. So I don't want to see that from Jimbo. So, I mean, I don't expect him to fall off the cliff, so to speak, right? We spoke about how I'm not sure if I expect the Bills running game to be as dominant this year as it was last year, but I also expect the passing game to be much better. So it's a balance, right? It's just going to change. We're going to be a little bit of 2020, a little bit of 2024. It's going to be a little bit of everything, right? So, but I don't. As far as Ray Davis goes, I like it. I want to see him a little more involved. I feel like like what did we just talk about with injuries, right? I mean, Cook has been very healthy, but if something happens to number 4, I want to feel confident that Ray Davis gets enough looks, and maybe he could be a guy to at least soften the blow of losing Cook if we did lose him for a certain amount of time. So for me, it's I'm not that concerned about it in terms of the locker room. I'm not concerned about it. I don't mind it at all. I want my players to want the ball. I want my players to want to produce.
Yeah, it's fair, man. It's fair. I agree. Like I can't even be upset with Ray Davis. I think, when you look at what when you look at the workload that you got out of that James Cook had last year, I don't ever want to see that again. 309 carries. Yeah, he had 16, he had over 1,600 yards, wins the rushing title, but I mean, the guy had a lot of touches, man. 342 touches last year.
Mm-hmm.
That is over 100 more touches than he had the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously, the scrimmage yards are, a shade under 2,000, but, so the production's there. 16 total touchdowns, 12 rushing, I believe, and 4 receiving, if I'm not mistaken. No, I'm wrong. 12, so 14 total touchdowns, 14 12 rushing and 2 receiving. But 340 touches, man, that's a lot. It's a lot for one back, especially when you have a guy who in the case of Ray Davis, you have a guy who can do what Cook can do at a lower level. Obviously, not the same explosive, elite level back that James Cook is, but Ray Davis is not a scrub, man. I mean, we've seen him come into games and carry and start and carry the football and be very, very productive. Get out of the backfield, get out there as a receiver and catch the football. So it's obviously you want to honor the player's request to get more work, but you also really probably want to take care of James Cook. Like, you're paying him, he's productive, he's really good, he's a dual threat back. You probably want to protect him, save his body. Get the ball in Ray Davis's hands a little bit more. And honestly, I kind of want to see Skylar Bell on kickoff returns. I put Skylar Bell and Keon Coleman back there.
Yeah,
those should be the kickoff. I mean, I think those guys should be handling the those two guys should be handling the special team returns return duty. Now, listen, Ray Davis can still do it because obviously he's not going to be, splitting carries 50-50 with James Cook, but I want the ball in Skylar Bell's hands, as early and often. Like, I want this guy to get confident. Let's get him a couple of return opportunities where, if he can make some things happen, like, build the confidence, man. Get out there and score. Get out there and score some touchdowns. Make some big plays. Contribute. Learn the speed of the. Get comfortable with the speed of the NFL. All those different things. You saw what he did in Connecticut with the ball in his hands after the catch. He was one of the most productive yards after catch guys in college football last year. Let's see him do it again. At this level. Keon Coleman, very, very elusive, difficult to tackle guy, especially in space. Get him the football. Let him go out there and return punts. Let him go out there, and help out on kick return and see what happens, man. I think it should be all about building confidence for these guys going forward because, again, man, you're going to need a Landry Shamet and a Mitch Robinson from time to time to come in and make plays.
Yep, absolutely.
You got to build the confidence of these guys early because you never know when you're going to have to call their number later on. Yep. Already, Skylar Bell's dealing with a hamstring, and Joshua Palmer is out with an injury. So right away, we're talking about when I say out, I don't mean like he's not going to be available. Like I expect him to be available week 1, provided nothing else happens. But listen, man, going into the season right now, if we would have to play a game tomorrow, your starting wide receivers would be, DJ Moore, Keon Coleman, and Khalil Shakir. That's 1, 2, 3. It just is what it is.
Kincaid better stay healthy then. That's all I can say on that front. So.
Exactly.
But, Ray last year, 2 years ago, Ray had 113 carries, last year 58. I mean, so he's got a legitimate, played the same many games. I would like to see Ray get back to that 100 plateau, Whittle. And maybe, what'd you think, Cook? Maybe like 250? So, because he had 207 in 25, 237 in 24, maybe 250? Maybe in that range, 240, 250. I think will be good. Maybe give some more of that to Ray Davis. Something like that.
240 works, man. 240 works because I do want some of his touches to come from as a receiver out of the backfield. I'd like to see his carries probably, south of 230, 240. I'd like to see him around the 230 range in carries, but I'd also like to see him get more reception. So if he can get into the 30, 35 catch range, the 30, 35 reception range, and then 230 carries. Now you're looking at 260, 275, 280 around there, the touch margin, right? Like he's got that many touches. I'm good with that. And then I'd like to see Ray Davis, hover around that 150 touch range, for the season. However you dice that up, if it's 115 carries and 20 receptions, sure. Like let's make that happen. I'm good with that. But I want to protect Cook, man. I also wanted to talk because I know we're not going to stay out here too long. I don't know if you had a chance to watch. We'll talk about the injuries real quick. Get these out the way. Yeah. Dorian Williams had an injury in the offseason, not while at OTAs, prior to OTAs and all that. I'm not sure what it is, but he was seen at practice on crutches. It's not supposed to cause him to miss any games, but he is missing valuable time where the defense is getting installed by Jim Leonard, the new defensive coordinator. So you never want that, right? You want your presumed starter at linebacker, especially inside linebacker. You want him around and available. So not only is he getting the mental reps and hands-on coaching, but the physical reps. Perfect practice makes perfect, man. You can't practice perfect.
Yep.
If you're I had a coach tell me that, man. He said, what do they say about practice? And I said, practice makes perfect. He said, yeah, they're lying. Practice, if you're practicing the wrong way, you're just going to learn the wrong way. You're just going to perfect the wrong way of doing things. A perfect practice makes perfect. So then he proceeded to hand me the big ball and told me to go to the free throw line and take shots. So, and it works, So like you build up that muscle memory, man, and it comes back to you. So you need Dorian Williams back. Another Dorian on the team that talk a little bit about is Dorian Strong. He was released from the Buffalo Bills this week. He was waived. Yeah. The expectation is for him to clear waivers and then be brought back onto the practice squad by the Bills, where he can continue to recover from his neck injury, and they'll reevaluate over the season and see, if he can continue his career. Terrible, terrible, terrible situation for him because the signs were there. The similarities were just crazy between him and Christian Benford. It's like, dog, if we manage to snag 2 6-round picks at corner and turn those guys into borderline all pro players, that like you got to give Brandon Bean credit for that. And I'm not saying that Dorian Strong was going to be an all pro, but if you go back and watch Dorian Strong work in that
oh yeah,
in that game against the Ravens, he was excellent. He was excellent. And when he went down, the floodgates kind of opened. The Ravens took advantage, but he was well on his way to to making it difficult for Max to get back on the field.
Absolutely. Yeah, we really wish him well. I mean, that's a tough blow for guy just really starting his career and had a lot of promise. And so hopefully, I think the Bills may retain his rights through like that reserve NFL process, unless somebody else scoops him up. But hopefully, they can, and he takes the year off. And with med, with the way things are today, with modern technology and medicine, anything is possible. So we just got to be really, really careful what he's dealing with. So I definitely think it's the right path for him to take. He's still way young enough where, if things break right for him, he could certainly be back on the field in 27.
Yeah. So, where are we at? We talked about that. We talked about that. Power rankings.
Okay.
Do you know where the Bills currently sit?
And what? Who's the ranking them?
FPI, Football Power Index. ESPN.
If I had to guess, just not looking at it, haven't looked at it at all, I'd say 6.
You would be close, but not correct.
Okay.
And by close, I mean 4 off. The Buffalo Bills are currently ranked number 2.
Really? Wow.
Buffalo Bills are ranked number 2 behind the Rams.
Wow, I thought you were going to say 10. When you said that, I thought it was going to be 10.
No, the Rams are by far clearly the favorite, especially after the Myles Garrett and Trent McDuffie trades. So they're back. They're the clear favorites at number 1. Buffalo Bills coming in at number 2. Ravens 3rd. Seattle 4th. And
Ravens 3rd.
5th.
Wow.
Oh, where is it? I had it. Let me pull it up because. Let me pull it up really quickly. Oh, 5th 49ers. I knew it was. I just. I wanted
49ers. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, listen, they're healthy right now, so that's the thing.
Yeah, I guess
they were not healthy last year.
I'm probably not giving them enough credit to be truthful. I just forgotten just how talented they really are, and were even just a couple of years ago.
How crazy is this though? 3 of the top 5 teams, according to ESPN, NFL Power Rankings, they're all in the AFC. I mean, they're all in the NFC West. Seahawks, Rams, Niners.
Wow. Arizona Cardinals, rest in peace.
Yeah. They're getting the number 1 pick, man. They're getting the number 1 pick.
They have to. Yeah, for sure.
They're gonna get smoked.
I mean, I still think Seattle could. I still think they're a fringe top 10. In that respect, I'm not going to put them at 3 when the season's over. I think there's a couple teams that could really surprise this year in the AFC. But Ravens at 3 is interesting too. I guess do you buy that, Whittle? Or how do you feel about that ranking?
No, I don't. Listen, I think with Matabike coming back, I think that's why the Patriots so low at this stage. What's the Ravens rank? Yeah, I don't buy it. And the reason why is I haven't really seen Trey Anderson play football in over a year. He's 32 at this point. I don't know the severity of his injury, but if the injury was actually significant, how good is he going to be? You know, right now with the this year with the Ravens. Also, Matabike, who had I think he had a neck issue as well. He's been cleared. He's coming back to play, but those next situations, like they're tricky, bro. They're very, very tricky. Another reason is because they lost. I feel like they lost a good amount on the offensive line, and I don't know. I do like the draft pick. They took the guard out of Penn State. I'm sure he's a plug-in play starter immediately, but the center spot, I do, worry about that and the other guard position. Let's see what happens there. I think not enough is being said about age getting to Roquan Smith. Roquan has consistently looked a little pudgy over the last 2 years, at least the last year, but I would say over the last 2 years, he's looked a bit pudgy, and the coverage has lacked over the last year or so, where he's concerned. Corner is another question mark for them. I do like I like Nate Wiggins. Obviously, they have Hamilton, and they drafted the kid out of Georgia last year to play safety. But corner's an issue, and they really didn't try to address it too much in the draft. I mean, maybe because they have some guys who are coming back from injury that got hurt last year. Maybe they trust that those guys are going to play big roles for them, but I just don't see it, man. You got a bunch of – you really didn't do much. You didn't take care of the center spot. Henry's a year older. At some point, Derrick Henry's got to slow down. At some point. I don't know when it's going to be, but at some point, he's got to slow down. And it's like every year I'm expecting, okay, maybe this is the year. And after week one, he has, 14 carries for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns with an 85-yarder. It's like, all right, well, this isn't the year he slows down. I don't know. I don't know when it happens.
A little more fumbling problem last year than usual for big 27. Maybe that's a sign. I don't know, but
could be.
We'll have to see. But yeah, I'm with you. Lamar. Those 2 years he was great. He didn't get injured too much, but he's had some issues with hamstrings and stuff like that. You just hope it's not creeping up on him. But right. I guess you could really say that about any quarterback now, Whittle. I think Josh is probably just
not Josh.
Hid some injuries maybe a little bit more than some others. So, you have someone you have a fan. Someone say leave your Ravens alone.
Listen, that is he's one of my original follows on Twitter.
Oh yeah,
nice. Yes. He brother Khalil definitely ingratiated me to that app, to the Bird app, and I appreciate him for it.
Okay.
He's not from the football side of things, but
okay,
that's my OG right there, man.
The OG,
shout out to
nice.
Him. Yeah, nice. Shout out to brother Khalil. Listen, man, it's not. I don't have any. No, let me not be dishonest. I do have issues with the Ravens. I think the Ravens are overrated, and they are. That is a very, very, very chatty fan base for no reason at all.
To say the least, yes.
Yeah. We've had some great battles with them. We'll see them again week 8 in Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Mark it down as a W, Bills fans. Mark it down as a W.
Let's go. The team that I'm intrigued with and the threat to Buffalo, that division is Cincinnati. There's something about the Bengals this year. Again, they have ifs, but if Burrow stays healthy, but I love the Dexter Lawrence move. I really just think that's going to help their defense a lot. And Like you've illustrated, a lot of the young guys that they had last year are just going to get a year better. So, we'll have to see how that all shakes out. But where were the Chargers on that list? I was curious, by the way. Because
Yeah,
I'm very high in the Chargers.
that was my next question. I was going to ask you, where
Mm-hmm.
do you think, who do you think the next AFC team is? And
Well, wait a
it
minute.
is
Where are
the
the Eagles?
Chargers.
Yeah, really? And
Yes.
that's
So I'll give you the top
wow.
10. We got
Okay.
Rams 1, Bills
Mhm.
2, Ravens 3, Seahawks 4, Niners 5. 6th, Packers. 7th, Chargers. 8, Detroit. 9,
Philly.
Kansas City. Not
What?
Denver. Yes.
Not Philly?
Not
Where
Philly. Philly's
where are the
10th.
Eagles?
Philly's
Wow.
10th. Yep.
Wow. Oh no,
The Patriots and Broncos are 14th and 15th. Telling you that schedule. Listen, man, I'm telling you, I completely agree with that. And this is why. I think the Patriots are a good team. I think there's some actual holes. And this is with AJ Brown. Like, this is how they think they're going to be with AJ. I think that offensive line is an issue. I do. I think that their pass rush outside of their defensive tackles left a lot to be desired last year, and I don't think they did enough to address it. I would like to see teams, especially the Bills, attack their linebackers, attack that second level a little more. And again, that offensive line, bro. Like, they brought in Elijah Vera Tucker for 2 years. They signed him to a 2-year deal. You have T-Rex Arms at left tackle, and I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know. I think we're gonna have to pay attention to see how they look. This season's gonna tell a lot of stories. He said the Ravens are really going to surprise y'all. We hear this every year, Brother Khalil. We do. We hear it every year.
Brother. Yeah.
And it is the same way every year.
We do hear it every year.
I mean, listen. So, when it comes to the Bills not having a Super Bowl, that is the one thing that other fan bases will consistently throw in our face. But I can confidently say that while the Bills don't have a Super Bowl, I know that there are certain teams that are not stopping us from reaching that goal. The Ravens happen to be one of them. They're not a threat. The Ravens are not a threat. And honestly, beyond – see, now because we're getting ready to wind down because I know you got to go and so do I. But I'm going to get into a little bit of trash talk here. And it's all good-hearted fun.
We got 10 minutes. We got time.
I am extremely humble about this season. I expect certain things, but I also understand that until I see them happen, I'm not going to say anything about it. I expect this to be a very good defense. I expect the Bills to have a balanced team this year. I got to see it first, though. I got to see it.
Yep.
Top 5 offense for the last 5 years without DJ Moore. Without Diggs, with Diggs, great offense. As long as 17's putting on the jersey that says Bills, and as long as this guy is available for the Buffalo Bills, the offense is gonna perform, right?
Yep.
So, with that being said, man, bro, like I don't think anybody in the AFC is really like an issue outside of the Texans. And the Texans really, to me, are only an issue until Josh Allen gets out of whatever it is that causes him to play poorly against them. I went back and I watched the 2024 Texans game with Matt Collins and Keon Coleman. There were plays to be made all over that game. There were plays to be made, and he
Oh,
just didn't make them. He
was
just
that the
didn't make them.
infamous nine completion game or 10 completion game?
Yeah, man. And
Oh,
bro, he had early first quarter, first drive. He's got Matt Collins, literally a walking touchdown. If it's an accurate ball, Matt Collins can moonwalk into the end zone, and we're good.
okay.
But it's not an accurate pass, and it's an incompletion, and we end up having a punt
Hmm.
versus scoring a touchdown. I just need Josh, and hopefully it happens this year because we get those guys week one. I need Josh to have that one good game against the Texans,
Hmm.
and that will eliminate any trepidation I have about that team.
Yep. I'm very curious how we play against the Chargers week 3. I want to see what the Chargers look like because they're getting their offensive lineman back. They had some bad luck with that. We talked about the luck, right? We talked about having players and this is about when Jim Harbaugh, traditionally about year 3, year 2 is about when his teams make their run. So the talent's there. That's a very talented roster, folks. I mean,
It
forget
is.
quarterback aside, they got some players all over the field. So I'm very interested. Mark from Buffalo, do the O-line additions. It maybe Whittle. I mean, they did make some nice off-season additions on their O-line. So maybe in a way, I'm happy we get a week 1. Whittle, if you think maybe they're still trying to figure things out, get things gelling, maybe we could get them early instead of later in the season. Because that's going to be a big game for home field advantage purposes down the line.
Yeah. So I'll answer this with what
Hmm.
I heard a coach say, a football coach.
Hmm.
He said was offensive line is the only unit in the is the only unit in football where um, chemistry and continuity trumps talent and skill, and
Interesting.
that or trumps talent,
Yeah.
and that to me kind of encompasses how I feel about the Houston offensive line. I think I like the moves they made. They brought in a guy named Braden Smith from Indianapolis.
Hmm.
I think he's one of the most underrated right tackles in the NFL. Like that kid, left tackles. He is excellent, excellent. I remember watching this kid in college. I think he went to like Western Michigan or something
Hmm.
weird like that. Um, just absolute unit, technically sound. Like he's a very, very not the greatest athlete, but athletic
Hmm.
enough. He's such a good player. Um, but those guys are going to be playing together for the first time. The first time they're playing actual NFL snaps is going to be against the Buffalo Bills in a huge 1 o'clock game with playoff implications in week 1. That's huge. Tank
Hmm.
Dell will be back. This is like his first time playing football in a year and some change. I don't know what to expect from Tank Dell. That injury, that leg injury he had was horrific. I don't know how he looks when he comes back, but I do know that they drafted a guy who I think could replace him in Lewis Bond out of Boston College. They always put talent around C.J. Stroud.
Hmm.
David Montgomery's there. Woody Marks is there. Nico Collins, Jaden Higgins, Xavier Hutchinson, Lewis Bond, Tank Dell. They have guys. Dalton Schultz, the tight end. Like they got guys. They do. Does it help CJ Stroud get back to his rookie form? I think what you saw over the last 2 years was CJ Stroud's rookie form. I think CJ Stroud's been consistent. It's just the defenses that they've played against, the Texans have played against, they've capitalized on the mistakes that he's made. They didn't capitalize in year 1. Year 1, he was throwing the ball into some of the same areas. Go back and watch. He was turnover worthy plays. He was putting the ball in harm's way before. They just weren't making defenses weren't making the plays. They were dropping interceptions, dropping them, not recovering fumbles, all type of stuff. Over the last few years, they have been. I expect that to continue. I don't think it's an offensive line problem. I think what I originally thought about C.J. Stroud from the draft days was, I don't know that this kid is good. I think he's talented. I don't know how good he is because he's coming from a system in Ohio State where he's throwing the open receivers. Those guys, like, you know what his wide receiver core group was in Ohio State?
What's that?
Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Emeka Ibuka, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Carnell Tate. Those are his guys. Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know if he played with Carnell Tate, but I know Marvin Harrison Jr. was on that team as well. Those are his receivers.
Insane.
Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't even play. Like, he rarely saw the field with those other guys there. They sent 3 receivers to the NFL in the same, like in a 2-year span, all in the first round. As a matter of fact, I think it was the same year. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and then Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Wow. That's crazy. How many? When you really just laid out all the great Ohio State receivers in the last 7 or 8 years, that list is incredible. I mean, most universities don't have that ever. I had those guys in 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got a penalty kick?
What do we got? Who's playing right now?
Oh, no, it's a free kick. There is Columbia is playing. I don't know. I don't know what the other team is.
Let me look it up. Columbia is playing Uzbekistan or Uzbek.
Okay.
Yeah. I could never pronounce that country. For anybody from that country, I apologize. Yeah, I can't do it. Yeah, the World Cup is really something to behold. By the way, and for anybody out there, you got to watch the Univision when you watch it. You gotta love the Univision, man. The goal call by the legend on Univision. It just, there's something about it, Whittle. It's different. It's hard to describe, but
yeah.
Hopefully the U.S. I think we'll advance out of our bracket. It all depends on the matchups, what we get, in the knockout rounds. But imagine if we play England on July 4th. You know how wild that would be. July 4th in Philly, where we signed the Constitution, by the way.
Yeah.
In
There's
Philly.
A lot of it's setting up to be an epic match, man. We would have to win that one though. Like, there's no way we cannot lose that. That's a match we can't lose.
Yeah, we can lose after that. That's fine. We gotta beat England. That goes without saying. What did I call
realized all that stuff I said about the Ravens might actually get clipped.
Oh no,
they might clip me. I might get clipped.
Oh, I sent you a tweet earlier. England soccer is the Lamar Jackson Ravens.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of similar. Actually, very talented. Lot of expectation, but they fall short quite a bit. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, definitely not. World Cup will get us through this month of waiting for football, and again coming up late June. Pretty soon we're going to start getting into camp battles. Could you believe it? You excited for that? We're going to start getting into. Oh, by the way, another note: we signed all our draft picks. Lowry signed this past week, so we got everybody in camp. So that's good to see. Bishop supposedly has been standing out a little bit, so we'll see how he goes. And with Hoyt, we'll have to see, but he's just doing drills, right? From what I'm understanding.
No.
Is he back full steam, or what's his story?
He's not back full steam, but he's not just doing like recovery stuff. He's doing like D-line stuff now.
The actual D-line drills. He's doing some D-line drills. Wow, that's pretty amazing. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right. I feel, if I had to sum up what you said earlier, I say cautious optimism, right, about our defense with a league, but yet cautious, right? You're sort of guarding yourself, saying, "Hey, we still have a lot of questions to answer. We feel we have answers, but we it's a little bit of an unknown for us now. We got a new coordinator, we got new pieces, whole new linebacking group. We're moving group on the outside. There's a lot. It's just going to be. We just have to see it, and once we see it, and if it works, then I think we'll have plenty of confidence.
Yeah, for sure. I'm
Mhm.
looking at what I'm looking at for this team, man. Is some improvement in certain areas. Third down
Yep.
defense. I'm listen. These are the things that I'm going to always talk about. Third down defense. How quickly are we getting off the field? When we
Yep.
get teams in the 3rd and 6, are we getting off the field? That
Yep.
is important.
Mhm.
Against the run, before we hit the red zone, how is this defense faring against the run? And pressure on the quarterback, sacks, things like that. What are we doing? Are we
Pressure
getting
rate.
to the quarterback? Are we getting
Mhm.
quarterbacks on the ground? When are we
Mhm.
getting quarterbacks on the ground? Are we supplying enough pressure on obvious passing situations that's giving our back 7 in coverage or our back 6 in coverage the opportunity to make plays and not have to cover for 4 or 5 seconds. We need that. We need that. We need that. And if they can do that stuff, the offense is going to take care of itself. Like the offense is going to score. We will put up points, but we got to stop people.
Yep,
That's
100%. 100%. So it's going to be exciting. We're going to have a lot to dive into sooner than later. Said the next month, let the World Cup be your distraction for a bit, but we'll be back next week. Whittle, I'll be on your coast for a couple of weeks, so we'll be one coast for about 2-3 weeks coming forward. But we'll certainly go forward, and we'll keep bringing you great Bills content. We're gonna have when the season starts, definitely start ramping up around here. So thanks for everybody in the chat tonight. No, it's a slower time of year, but we appreciate you all showing up, and we'll be back better than ever next week.
That's right. Don't forget. Sorry, guys. I know we took some time off, man. Sometimes you got to recharge the batteries, man.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
That's where we're at.
But we'll be
batteries recharged. We're ready to go.
Yes, we'll be ready. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Have a good night, everyone.